I screamed, I cried, and then I felt nothing. And I realized that feeling had been following me around for a long time. And I wanted to know why, despite everything I had, I felt like a worthless failure. This is a story about addiction and codependency. The codependency can be traced to the struggle of my immigrant grandparents to survive and the imprint it left on my first generation American parents, leading to my addiction to money. Hello, my name is money. I am a medium of exchange. There are two sides to me. What to give to what to get to make a transaction, and its emotional side as a replacement for love and approval. Uh-oh, who's that? Hey, it's me, Mr. Codependency. Codependency can be defined as excessive emotional or psychological reliance upon a partner, generally one who needs support due to illness or addiction. The tie that binds us all together in this trap is called codependency. What was Mitchell tied to? Taking on his mother's dream of a better life than his own, leading to an addictive compulsion to obtain a net worth of $1 million. But at what price? How does one become a codependent with an addiction to money? It all started with how my mother treated my dad. Oh, Jay, I can't afford to buy the clothes that I need. You're just a shoe salesman. Why don't you start your own business like my brother-in-law Mars? Okay, Sadie, I will. Mitch, I'm going to become a real estate salesman. Can you type my name and phone number on these business cards? Sure, Dad. These look like crap. They'll never work. Well, that was a bust. I never sold one piece of property. People seemed to like me, but I could just never close a deal. My dad's soul was a creative one, and remnants of this creativity were scattered throughout my childhood. There was the half-finished play I found tucked away in a bookcase, and there was a small printing press that he used to print calls to action for his socialist friends. And when he interacted with me and my friends, it was mostly to act as a director and help us put on a play. My dad didn't dress very well, but there's one picture of him from the 30s with a scarf and a top coat and a fedora. I don't know, maybe it was a headshot. Anyway, my dad was slight of size and had no athletic ability, and he had no interest in or penchant for making money. Hey, come on, Mitch, let's go outside and toss the old football around. Come on, Dad, you're smaller than all the other dads, and you don't even know how to hold a football, and that football you brought, it's plastic, it's like a toy. Oh, I'm sorry, Mitch. Listen, I got tickets for the new show at the Center Theater. How about we all go Sunday? Oh, Dad, that'd be great. My dad had a gentle soul, and everyone who met him loved him. And his nickname was Babe. Now, when I was 16 years old, my dad had a severe gastric ulcer attack, and he was ordered to stay home from work. My mother was beside herself. Oh, Jay, when are you going to go back to work? I can't afford to support this family or my salary as a teacher. Well, I'll say the doctor says I have to stay home. Oh, what a mistake. A little later, my dad came to me. Mitch, I need to go down to the shoe store to see if I'm ready to go back to work, but I haven't been cleared to drive. Can you take me down there tomorrow? Sure, Dad. So the next day we got up and climbed into our green 1960 Plymouth Fury 4-door hardtop convertible and wended our way through the streets of Baltimore down to Gay Street, which was of course the poorest part of town. Now, Gay Street consisted of a public market that had fruit stalls and vegetable stalls and meat stalls, and then 2 blocks of retail stores. And the custom was for the owners of the store, the salespeople, to stand on the sidewalk and call out to the pedestrians as they went by. Hey, we got leather coats on sale, half price leather coats, layaway. Hey, we got shoes, Stacy Adams. Hey, we got hose, all size, all colors. And as I turned the car onto Gay Street, my dad rolled down his window and stuck out his head. "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" "Oh, babe, is that you, man? Where you been? We missed you. Come on back." "Hey, Mari, what are you waiting for, the flood?" "Who's that?" "Oh, babe, it's you, man. Where you been? We sure did miss you. Come on back." "Hey, Mitch, what's this?" "Hey, mister, what you got for a nickel? 5 pennies? Oh, it's you, babe, man. Where you been? Come on back." Yeah, my dad didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but he was loved and he was happy. And I was happy once too. My first memory, I'm about 3.5 years old. It's a family picnic and there's a gazebo, a green, there I was. And there was a gazebo, a green gazebo with a copper roof, and I watched as a ball flew up and disappeared. As I peered up at the roof and watched that ball disappear, my mind was bathed in an emotion of happy amazement watching that ball disappear. Proust famously related emotions in memory, and that simple emotion of happy wonder has etched that memory in my brain. And that was happiness. I guess you ought to meet me now. My name is Happiness. I am happy when your soul is aligned with your goals and desires. I can provide you security, but if you pursue money, my security will seem to evaporate. My first encounter with money, I remember, was when I was about 4.5 years old. "Oh, Mitch, my brother Ben, the millionaire lawyer from Beverly Hills, he's a millionaire. Oh, he's coming to visit, and we're going to have steak for dinner." "Ma, what steak? Why are we sitting at this big dining room table instead of eating in the kitchen like we always do? Why are we drinking out of these glasses instead of the metal cups that we always use? Doesn't Uncle Ben look like Santa Claus? And why does he always wear a suit and a tie?" "Oh, Mitchell, that's the way rich people dress. He's a millionaire. Don't you want to be a millionaire? And tomorrow we're going to go shopping. Right, Ben?" Yeah, I've located a new type of suburban shopping mall that I want to analyze, and I have the directions. So the next day we got into the car and drove to the other side of town, and we went into the shopping center, and there was stuff everywhere. There was so much stuff, and there was, oh look, a genuine Roy Rogers cap missile that shoots real caps, and a genuine leather holster. "Can I have it, Mom? Can I have it? Can I have it?" "Oh no, it's too expensive." "That's all right, I'll get it for you." "Oh, thanks, Uncle Ben. And I want to go to Beverly Hills and be a lawyer. Will you help me?" "Sure, Mitch. When you've grown up, ask me again." See, Mitch, isn't money great? And see how your mother treated your Uncle Ben? She never treated your dad like that. When I grow up, I'm going to be a millionaire lawyer and live in Beverly Hills. My mother's childhood was poor and hardscrabble, and all the stories I know about my grandfather are tales told to me by my mother. "Oh, Mitchell, when Grandpa first came to this country, he and his brother Morris were trunk makers. They made trunks like they did in Russia. And then Grandpa opened a dry goods store, and he was doing really well. And then he and Uncle Morris decided to go into business again together, and they opened 2 movie theaters, some of the first in Baltimore. At first they did very well, and then they had a big fight." "Morris, there's something wrong with the second theater. I'm going to go and look." "Jacob, you're crazy. Leave it alone." "Morris, I'm going to go and look." So Grandpa went to the second theater, and he found out that Uncle Morris was stooping the young girl that was taking the ticket money and letting her steal it. They had to file bankruptcy. Grandpa lost everything. He had to start all over again. He never talked to Uncle Morris again for the rest of his life. "Mom, when we went to buy luggage, there was a man there that was talking about Uncle Morris." "Yes, that was Cousin Sidney. Morris went back into the luggage business and became a millionaire. Mic drop. There it was again. The magic word, another member of the family held up as an icon, as a millionaire. Well, isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Work hard, make money, be safe and secure, have the honor, will honor and respect you. Oh, it's, who's that? Oh, it's me, Artsy, the artist part of Mitchell. Mitchell's he's taking on his mother's dream of a better life as his own. He's not passionate about making money. He is so young. What does Mitchell want? My grandfather died when I was about 11 years old, and Uncle Ben came to the funeral, and I hadn't seen him since I was 4.5. Uncle Ben, I want you to take me back to California with you right now. I want to go with you. I want to go with you. Well, Mitchell, what about your family? I'll take them with me. How are you going to do that? I'll rent a plane. All right, well, let me see you do it. Hello? United Airlines? I want to take my family to California. It's my sister Linda and me and my mom and my dad. No, I don't know exactly when we're going to go. We're planning. Can I rent a plane? Oh, have to buy tickets. Okay. How much is a ticket? Oh, okay. Well, we're saving and I'll call you back. As I hung the phone up and walked back into the living room, everybody who had been assembled there for the Shiva, the Jewish memorial morning service for my father, looked up. They'd heard the call. Mitch, it was quite a good call. Yeah, I don't think you can come to California right now, but someday, if you do, I'll help you out. Oh, thank you, Uncle Ben. A hole was opened in my soul that would never be fixed until I was a lawyer in Beverly Hills and a millionaire. Uncle Ben may not have meant to cajole Mitchell, but over time, Mitchell might come to depend upon gifts from Uncle Ben at a great cost to himself. When I was 4.5 years old, my mother had to go back to work because my father didn't make enough money. She resented it, and she had to find something to do with me. Now, she found a job with a private Jewish day school that said they'd take me in kindergarten for free, no tuition. So in September, when I was supposed to start school, I was only 4.5 years old. And you're supposed to be 5 when you start school, which meant I shouldn't start until February. Now, there were 2 problems with this for my mother. First, she'd read studies that students who were enrolled in midterm didn't do as well academically as other students. And secondly, she needed me to start now. Settled, the school took me, and I started. So every day I would walk with my mother to school, and I would go to kindergarten in the morning, and in the afternoon I'd come up and I'd sit in the back of her class and I'd read and I'd draw and play while she taught. When I was in the 2nd grade, the school decided that the curriculum wasn't challenging enough for me, and they skipped me a semester. So at the end of the 2nd grade, I was a full 1 year younger than my classmates and a midterm again. At the end of the 3rd grade, my mom found a job at a new, different day school that paid more money but wouldn't give me free tuition. So she decided I should go to public school. So now, at the end of the school day, instead of going to my mother's class and waiting for her in the back, I go home. Now, you'd think my mother would walk in and ask me how my day was or offer me a glass of milk and some cookies. No, she walked in with a scowl on her face, sneak up the stairs, sprawl out on her bed, and play endless hands of solitaire. I'd lie across from her trying to be recognized, but I wasn't. Take a small boy who seeks to earn his mother's love and affection by taking on her dream of a better life as his own, and add an uncle who, for his own purposes, offers to step in to help. Oh, what will this cost, Mitchell? Oh, the flighty artist is here again. Hello, it's me. Where in this plan is their pursuit of art and the greater things in life? Watch me to see the price. Instead of soaring and flying in Mitchell's soul, I'm buried under the weight of net worth and all that it takes to get there. Oh, who's that? Who's that raising its ugly head? Ooh, it's me, addiction. How can a soul be happy if it's not loved? I am the whole of self-doubt and worthlessness and all the terrible things you think about yourself. You spend your entire life trying to fill me in. Sometimes you try drugs. Sometimes you try alcohol. Sometimes you try love. And sometimes you try money. When I was 10 years old, the neighborhood seemed to explode in new bicycles. Every kid was getting one. I didn't, but I wasn't upset. I was used to my dad not delivering the goods. There was the famous baseball glove incident. All the kids in the neighborhood were getting brand new Spalding gloves, genuine leather. My dad brought home some plastic thing that didn't even have laces holding the fingers together or a web. I did my best to make it better. I took a scissors and poked holes in each one of the fingers, and I took a shoelace and laced them together and tried to create a web. It was pathetic. My dad looked in the newspaper, the classifieds, and we got in the car and drove to the other side of town to a house with a brick house with a wrought iron gate. We're here about the bike that you had in the advertised in the classified. The man wheeled out a blue plain bike. How much? $15. We'll take it. We loaded the car in the back of our car, headed home, and put it into the cellar. The next day I came home from school, and I went back to the cellar, and I took the bike out, and I polished it and cleaned it up as best I could, and I got on the bike, and I rode up the hill to Paul Feldman's house. Oh, Mish, look, you got a new bike. It's kind of plain, isn't it? Yeah, my dad wanted it that way, because then we're going to buy, like a horn and a light and streamers and put it on it. So I got on the bike, I rode back down the hill to the backyard, and I took the bike, and I flipped it over on its seat and handlebars. And then I took a wrench and I undid the bolts that held on the rear wheel. Then I went into the cellar and I found a piece of the aluminum tubing. I think it was part of a curtain rod. And I cut it in half, and each piece was about 15 inches long. And I took a hammer and made each end flat. And then I took a drill and drilled a hole the size of the axle. Then I painted them with aluminum paint. And I put them on the wheel when they dried, and I tightened it up. And I flipped it over. And for a minute, the bike looked like it was jet propelled. And this is the artist in Mitchell crying to be let out. He took the plain canvas of the glove and laced it together. He molded rockets onto the bike. Oh, this is the artist seeking to be recognized. I was in the 6th grade at Louisa May Alcott Public School number 59. I was in the 6th grade, it was June, and I was expecting to come back in the fall to finish the second half of the 6th grade because I was still a midterm. At the end of the class, Mr. Feller, the teacher, called me over. Yeah, Mitch, the school board has a special program for you. If you do this program the summer, when September comes, instead of coming back here, you go right to junior high school. The school board recognizes your potential and wants to get you out of the midterm track. So here's a letter for your parents to review and approve. So that summer, I went to summer school with Johns Hopkins University with a bunch of other smart kids, and I don't remember what we studied. Maybe decimals and dividing fractions. And oh yeah, we studied space. We built a model space station. And then we pretended to be weightless and had little rockets in our hands and jetted ourselves around the room. In September, I started Garrison Junior High School. I was 10 and a half years old. Everybody else was 12, 12 and a half. The boys were getting hair on their faces and deep voices, and I had peach fuzz and baby pink complexion. I felt so out of place. But if anybody asked me, I'd tell them, when I grow up, I'm going to be a lawyer, live in Beverly Hills, and be a millionaire. Addiction can also be defined as response to behavior in order to reduce stress. Oh yeah, Mitchell sure liked talking about me and going to Beverly Hills, didn't he? In the 8th grade, I started a brand new junior high school. Again, I'm the youngest and the smallest one there. Hey man, yeah, you got hair on your balls? Oh yeah, I got hair all over my balls. I whack off all the time. What about you? Oh yeah, I cream everywhere. What about you, Feinstein? Feinstein's a baby. He shakes popsicle sticks. I started an all-boys high school in the 10th grade. I was 13 and a half. Everybody else was 15 and a half. I'm the smallest, I'm the youngest. My sister, who was beautiful. Yeah, look at her. She was sweetheart of a high school fraternity called Alpha Phi Pi, and under the fraternity rules, they had to give me an opportunity to pledge. So the first step in the pledge process was to go to a formal dinner dance with a date. Now, I had never asked anybody out. So I went to my sister for some sisterly advice. Linda, what do you think about me going to that fraternity dinner? Well, Mitchell, I can certainly tell you I met a lot of nice people there. And since I'm a sweetheart, you're a legacy, they have to let you pledge. Does that mean I'm not worth anything? Oh, no, Mitchell, you're special. Well, Linda, I never asked anybody out. I don't know what to do. Why don't you ask Pam down the street? She's cute. Well, Pam was cute, but she was 11 and in the 6th grade. Big mistake! All the other guys are asking girls in junior high school that are, like developed. I'm barely 5 feet tall. Pam's shorter than I am and clearly prepubescent. We became the butt of all the jokes at the party. Hey, Feinstein, how do a girl and a guy fuck? Let's see, the guy gets undressed and the girl gets undressed and then he sticks it in. I think I'll go dance with my date. Yeah, an elementary school girl. Your sister was a sweetheart. We'd kick your ass out of here. All through high school, junior high school, I always had to have jobs to buy anything I needed. I had all kinds of jobs. I sold magazines door to door. I delivered for the local pharmacy. I worked at my cousin's pawn shop. I saved enough money to buy a camera and darkroom equipment. Oh, this is the artist in Mitchell trying to be seen. He built his own darkroom. He took sepia portraits of his sister and then brother-in-law. He did designer shots, architectural shots. He taught himself everything he needed to know in order to develop print and make film. This was where Mitchell was happiest, in the darkroom, creating art. The summer before I started college, I had a job at a small boat marina called Lake Roland, which was just outside of Baltimore. And it was a small dam in a lake that was perfect for rowboats. Yeah, money was in abundance that summer. We were making $35 a week and saving for college and afterwards. And we had a plan, we were focused. Undergraduate, University of Maryland, pre-law, accelerated program, 3 years, law school, 3 years, and off to the races. So every day I would come up to the pavilion where I sold the food and rented the boats, and then I'd fill the drink machines, put the hot dogs on the grill, stock the candy machines, the candy racks, and weekends were really busy. During the week, though, it was pretty quiet. With only a few people coming, they'd hang out and relax and go fishing. But there was one guy who showed up every Tuesday with a canoe on his boat. Hi, Dan, you gonna go out on the lake today? Oh, yeah, Mitch. Oh, it's good to get away from the drumbeat of the office. Oh, Dan, what kind of work do you do? Yeah, I work for Remington Rand Computers. Do you know what a computer is? Sure, Dan, it's a very fast calculator that makes complex decisions. Yeah, did you do well in mathematics in high school? Well, I scored in the 98th percentile. Yeah, listen, where are you going to go to school in the fall? University of Maryland, College Park. Really? I'm working on a program at Beltsville, Maryland, right next to College Park at the brand new Goddard Space Flight Center. how would you like to come out and learn about computers? Whoopee! What a great opportunity! Get in on the ground floor of computers in space. Just think of it. A Jewish mathematician. All right, hold on there, Happiness. Yeah, what are you? You're going to get full? What, you know, some kind of government schlub? What about me? What about going to Beverly Hills? Oh, yes. If you do this, you have to do it on your own. There'd be nobody there to help you. Dan continued coming to the lake. Well, Mitch, have you thought about coming to Goddard? Yeah, Dan, I'm thinking about it. All right, don't be fooled. You know, what kind of lake would you have some kind of government? And besides, you'd probably be the only Jewish kid there. What are you doing in a canoe? Jews and camping don't go together. The truth is, I was terrified. I was afraid of walking down this path alone. And yeah, maybe I would be the only Jewish kid there. Dan had even asked me my last name. No. I'm going to go to Beverly Hills. Uncle Ben will help me. All right, yeah, we're going to go to Beverly Hills. We're going to go to law school. All right. Undergrad 3 years, law school 3 years, and then 6 years, and make money fast. Tuition and books at University of Maryland was about $300 a year. I don't even know how my parents afforded that. And the icing on the cake was, instead of living in the dorms, too expensive, I was going to stay in a rooming house in a room owned by my father's brother and his wife. And curiously enough, my father's brother was another Uncle Ben. But he was a completely different sort of Uncle Ben. He had been a child musical prodigy. But when he was 11, he was at the beach, and some kid threw an oyster and shell at him. It cut him in his eye, it got infected, and he went blind. Despite that, he got a full scholarship to the Peabody Conservatory of Music, where he became a pianist. He wrote concertos, he learned Braille, he was extremely well read, and he married my Aunt Reba. Now, my father even wrote a play about my Uncle Ben called His Eyes. Drama in one act by Jacob Feinstein. Anyway, when I lived in the rooming house, Uncle Ben was like a presence. He was always around. You could hear him humming or whistling or playing the piano, or the sonorous sound of the announcer of the books on records that he listened to every week that he got from the Braille Institute, or him talking to the two Cocker Spaniels, Specs and Bill. So each morning I'd get up and I'd walk down the stairs, and just as I hit the last riser and I was about to reach for the front door, Uncle Ben would call out, good morning, Mitchell. Are you studying hard? Yeah, Uncle Ben. What class do you have today? Early Chinese history. All right, Mitchell, remember, be a genius. Be a genius today. What did my uncle mean? What did those words mean? They echoed in my head, and they caused me to end up signing up for advanced classes in English literature. I fell in love with authors like D.H. Lawrence and E.M. Forster, and I was taking upper-level classes with upperclassmen. And the combination of those upper-level classes and my uncle's challenge led me, at the end of my freshman year, to switch my major from pre-law to English. No longer was I going to rush off to law school. No. In my sophomore year, I piled on the courses, and every new epic, every new author, every new era was a blank canvas to be painted with the literary, social, and economic history of mankind. I joined the literary magazine, I wrote short stories, I took creative writing classes, I swooned in the study of drama. Yes, this is the artist in Mitchell flying and rising in his soul. And me, Happiness, I'm glowing and basking in the light of truth and art. What are you kidding me? You're living like a church mouse, $10 a week for food and bouncing checks all over the place. Small price to pay to live the life of an artist. At the beginning of my sophomore year, my cousin Chuck, who had moved to Baltimore when we were both from Baltimore to Beverly Hills when we were both 13, wrote me a letter. Now, when Chuck first moved there, he'd written letters that were glowing depictions of his life in Beverly Hills and with Uncle Ben and Aunt Edith and everything that was going on. But now I got a different sort of letter from him. And dear Mitch, the family decided we have to move from Baltimore back to, from Beverly Hills back to Baltimore. And I'm going to go to University of Maryland in the fall, and wondered, do you know a place where I can bunk? So I invited Chuck to come and live with me and Uncle Ben and Aunt Rebus. From the minute Chuck moved in, he regaled me with stories of his magical life in Beverly Hills with his friends from Beverly Hills High School. And I was enamored, and it once again stirred something in me and lit the fire and the desire to go to Beverly Hills and become a lawyer. Mitch, I want to drive cross country and camp out and see my friends in Beverly Hills. You want to go with me? There's ads in the newspaper all the time that people are looking for somebody to drive the car cross country. So we found an English professor who wanted his stick shift 1959 Plymouth station wagon driven to Los Angeles. And so we took off, we drove cross country, and we ended up at Beverly Hills at Uncle Ben and Aunt Edith's house at 7:30 in the morning. Aunt Edith made us squash pancakes. Uncle Ben was sitting at the breakfast table, white shirt and tie, immaculately shined shoes. The house was the most beautiful I'd ever been in. It was designed like a Spanish hacienda with a large patio courtyard in the center, all of the rooms surrounding it, opening it with doors and windows that let in all the light and air. The kitchen overlooked the garden filled with calla lilies and birds of paradise. I had arrived at the castle. All right, boys, let's get going. So we all went out and piled into Uncle Ben's Buick. All right, we're going to my barber. Hop in the chair. You guys need haircuts. You look like hippies. Uncle Ben, where to from here? We're going to the office. I got jobs for you. Woohoo! We're going to the money factory. We're going to learn how to make money. We're going to learn how to become millionaire lawyers in Beverly Hills. Oh, happiness, what do you want? Well, will this be soul satisfying? Is that all there is? Learning how to make money? Is this some sort of trap? Quiet, buddy. Quiet, happiness. This is the first step of enabling it. Taste of the forbidden fruit. Right addiction. Oh, yeah. I could get used to this. Oh, no time for the pursuit of art and the greater things of life, except maybe to listen to rock and roll on the radio. Well, that summer was magical. My job was I ran a crew of people that went to the county recorder's office every day, wrote down lists of names and addresses, came back to the office, put them onto addressograph cards, and sent hundreds of direct mail letters for my uncle's mortgage business every day. I was making $100 every 2 weeks. I was cashing the checks, turning it into $2 bills, folding them up and putting it in the front pocket of my tight jeans, and hanging out with Chuck's friends from Beverly Hills High. There was Pete, who at 17 and a half was the top salesman on his brother's used car lot. And there was Alexander Pierce Gilbert III, aka Lex, who, when he was in the 10th grade, ran away from his home in New York, moved into his own apartment where he lived by himself while he went to high school at Beverly Hills High. So we ran around in Lex's convertible, we went out on his boat, we hung out with the children of movie stars, movie directors, business people, all of whom, of course, lived north of Sunset. Well, the end of the summer came, and I went home. The glow of Beverly Hills faded pretty quickly, and I easily fell back into my role, my dream of pursuing literature, getting a PhD, and becoming a college professor. It was the fall of 1964. I was 19 and a half years old, and in September, I was 3 credits shy of earning my bachelor's degree 1 year early. So I was already taking advanced classes in English towards my master's. Now, I was partying and running around and having a pretty good time, but I was so poor that I would, on occasion, with a girl, kind of maybe try and convince her to ask me over to her house for a meal. Oh, Barbara, you are so gorgeous and so smart and so much. I love talking to you. So glad I ran into you at the student union. What are you doing Sunday morning? Oh, Mitchell. I don't know. We have a Sunday family breakfast. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I really don't have anything to do. Oh, well, why don't you come over? Oh, really, Barbara? Thanks a lot. So I got up Sunday morning and I put on my khakis and one of my 42 button-down shirts. It's another story. and drove to Rock Creek, the really nice part of Washington. I pulled up in my 1960 Plymouth two-door car and looked up at this beautiful Tudor mansion on a hillside with a beautifully maintained lawn. Clearly, Barbara's parents were in an economic station well above mine. Oh, hi, Barbara. Oh, God, so good to see you again. Once again, you're a total knockout. Oh, Mitchell, come on into the dining room and meet my parents. Oh, God, thank you so much for having me over. I truly appreciate it. Look at that spread. Bagels and lox and cream cheese and scrambled eggs. And then, lightning struck. Carolyn, Barbara's younger sister, walked in with her best friend Judy, who had come to see Carolyn off to her return trip to college at University of Pennsylvania. Judy was beautiful. Dark brown eyes, immaculately dressed, beautiful hair, a body that wouldn't quit. We went into the living room and I sat and talked to her. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. I ignored Barbara. The moment was magical and ethereal. It was like pages out of a romance novel. It was love at first sight. The next day I called Judy to ask her out for a date. She was busy that weekend, but we made plans to get together the following weekend. I went home that weekend and told my mother I'd met the girl I was going to marry. A month later, I'm talking to Judy every day. She hasn't been out on a date with another guy. And I'm over at her house, 3 times a week. And her mother's cooking dinner for me. Yeah. Making the meals my mother could never afford, like those little baby French lamb chops. Now, Judy called me her poet. She said she liked the long-haired philosopher of me, but I was worried that becoming a college professor wouldn't cut it. The thought of possibly getting married started a war in my brain. There was a dialogue between artist, money, and happiness. Oh, Mitchell, you don't think you can make that girl happy on the salary of a college professor, do you? Oh, well, have you even asked her what she wants? Yes, she says she loves the long-haired poet part of Mitchell, doesn't she? Oh, yeah, but yeah. But he can make her happy, and she can make him happy only if they're yourself. Who are you kidding? Yeah, Judy was raised wealthy. She's used to a nice car, nice clothes, and a nice place to live. You think she's going to be happy in some little crappy apartment at the corner of some college campus? Art is its own reward. Judy can learn to love drama and literature as much as Mitchell. Money can't buy happiness. We've been dating about 2 months, and I told Judy that I had to talk to her. Judy, listen. In June, when I graduate, I'm going to move to California and go to law school. So if you don't want to move, maybe we should break it off. Oh, Mitchell, I love you, and I can't wait to get away from my parents. How are you going to do this? That's right. How was I going to do this? I hadn't even applied to law school. I didn't have enough. How was I going to take care of Judy and my family? And I didn't even have money to pay rent in an apartment. What was that? I can't do this on my own. Yeah, but remember, Uncle Ben said he would help. Yeah, but that was when I was 11 years old. Yeah. Well, why don't you give him a call? But what do you have to lose? Yeah, why don't you try it just this one time? Hello, Uncle Ben? It's your nephew, Mitchell. Yeah, hi. Listen, remember I once talked to you about coming to California? Well, I'm graduating in June in a few months, and I'm going to come to California and go to law school. And I wonder, is there any chance, can you lend me a hand? All right, Mitchell. If you get into a major law school, I'll help you out. Okay. Thanks, Uncle Ben. I had just taken everything I had done in the last 3 years, put it into a drawer, shaken it, dumped it all in the corner, and thrown it into the ether. No longer would I become a college professor, ski on a college campus, and get my PhD. No, I'd become a millionaire lawyer and live in Beverly Hills. Now, the first thing I had to do is I had to take the law school aptitude test and get a high enough grade to get into a major university. And then I had to get a job, and I had to save money to buy a ring and ask Judy to marry me and pack and leave. Oh, Mitchell, you're so smart and good looking. I always knew my son would be a success, and I'd never have to take care of my family, and you would help me, and I'd never have to take care of the family. Ah, that's right. Me, money, I will save you. All you have to do is you move to California, move to Beverly Hills, become a lawyer, make $1 million, and then your family will love you, and you will take care of your wife and your kids, and everything will be okay. But if you leave me behind, you will never be satisfied. What about the great plays and art and you were going to write? You will have a hole in your heart. I don't care about a hole in my heart. Yes. And Uncle Ben and Stanley will give you what you need. Yes, but at what price? So I filled out applications for law school. I applied to UCLA, University of Maryland, Boalt Hall of Law, and University of Southern California. I signed up and took the law school aptitude test, a high grade, a key to getting into a major university. I get my grades back from the first law school aptitude test, and I'd scored in the mid-80th percentile. Good, but not great. It's Christmas, and I'm working 3 jobs to save enough money to buy a ring for Judy. I'm even sorting mail at the Maine Central Post Office in Washington, D.C. at Union Station. I decide to retake the LSAT. I finally save up enough money to buy a proper size Jewish diamond ring, engagement ring, one that won't embarrass me and make me look like a loser. It's February. Judy, will you marry me and move to Beverly Hills? And I'm going to become a lawyer. Oh, yes, Mitchell, I love you, but what's the plan? How are you going to do this? Well, the plan is I'm going to move to California in June, apply to law school, and don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Oh, Mitchell, I love you. So my grades on the second LSAT come. They come in a small envelope, and inside is a small green piece of paper, and written on it is the score. I scored in the top 98th percentile. I take the little piece of paper and I put it in my wallet. It's April, and I still haven't heard from any law schools. And then I hear from UCLA, rejected. University of Maryland, my backup, accepted. Boalt, rejected. I don't hear from USC. I don't tell Judy about the turn downs or that I haven't heard from USC. We're still dating and going out, and we're going to the movies and restaurants and hanging out at her house watching TV. We met in September. We got engaged in February. Now it's June, and it's almost time to graduate. Oh, Mitchell, oh, you're going to leave soon, and I don't know what your plan is about law school and everything and what you're going to do. Don't worry, Judy. I'll take care of everything. Of course, I still hadn't told Judy about the turn downs. I hadn't told her about SC, and I didn't know how I was going to take care of anything, let alone everything. But I bought an airplane ticket, I packed my bags, and Judy drove me to the airport. We're walking hand in hand down to the gate. Stop. Judy, I love you, and I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to write to you every day. I'm going to call you every Saturday night, and we'll be back together sooner than you know. Oh, Mitchell, I'm so scared. You're going to meet somebody else. And who's going to take care of me? Don't worry, Judy. I'll always be there. I'll always take care of you. One last hug, one last kiss, and I climb on the pathway. All right, Mitchell. Your trunks are in your luggage is in the trunk, and we're gonna drive on home. And it's Sunday night. Edith's gonna make us dinner: fish, baked potato, and a vegetable. And then you'll get settled in. What's your plans for tomorrow? I've got to go visit some law schools. Can I borrow a car? Mm-mm. You'll have to take a bus. So in the morning, I got up and I took 2 or 3 buses, and I ended up in front of this prestigious-looking building, the University of Southern California School of Law. I wandered in and looked for the registrar. Hello, that's me, Xenia Weissman, a registrar. How may I help you? Well, Miss Weissman, my name's Mitchell Feinstein. I applied to USC Law School and I never got a response. Oh, well, let me check your file. I'm sorry, you were rejected. Oh, Miss Weissman, did you get my second LSAT score? Just a moment. Dean Nelson will see you. I was ushered into an office that was all mahogany, red leather, and walls covered with legal tomes. There was a huge desk. Sitting behind it was a well-coiffed, gray-haired, statuesque woman, Dean Nelson. Really, Mr. Feinstein, why didn't you tell me about yourself? Well, Dean, I just graduated from University of Maryland with a degree in English. I was on a literary magazine, and I just came to Los Angeles yesterday, and I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was 4.5 years old. Really? Well, the USC has had a night school for many years, but this semester will be last time we start a night class. Now, the day class is food, but we have one opening in the night class, and I'll award it to you. And if you do well, you could transfer to the day school in this February semester. Thank you, Dean Nelson. I won't. Oh my God, what do I do? Okay, keep your head down. 1 foot in front of another. Just keep moving. It's amazing. Oh, that's right. It's amazing. You came from Baltimore with no money, no plan, and no acceptance to law school. And yes, by sheer ardor and dint of effort, you have landed on your feet. But will you be as happy studying the law as you would have been studying literature? All right. Okay, artist. Cut it out. Yeah, you're confusing that kid. I maintained a long-distance romance with Judy by writing to her every day and calling her every Saturday night. Hi, Judy. It's 5 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 8 o'clock in Washington. How are you doing? Oh, you're just calling to make sure I'm still home and not out with some guys. What have you been doing? Oh, going to work, coming home with Uncle Ben and Andy, a little dinner, a fish, a vegetable, a piece of potato, and then, watching a little TV. Oh, but listen, I bumped into an old friend, a high school friend of Chuck's, a girlfriend, and she's married now, and she said she'd like to meet you, and she invited you to come out and visit and stay with her in August. You can stay at her apartment with her and her husband. What do you think? So Judy flew to Los Angeles in August, and we spent a week together, and it was wonderful. We went to the beach, we hung out with my friends, we went to dinner, and we had dinner with Uncle Ben and Aunt Edith, and then the end of the week came, and Judy had to go home, but we had a plan. Judy was going to go back and finish up her last year at George Washington University and get a degree in education, and then in June, when we got married, we'd fly out together, and she'd get a job as a teacher to help support us. Judy took off, and I started my first year of law school. Now, of course, I was again one of the youngest in the class. But this being USC, unlike the other students, most of the other students came from families with long histories of economic and legal and business success. I was no longer the smartest kid in the block, in the room. I felt out of place. And then, to top it off, in September, when I registered for school, I hadn't saved enough money from working to pay the whole year's tuition. So in November, I had to go to the bursar's office and pay the second half. I walked in and I was embarrassed. I looked around and I paid furtively. And then I hurried home. Oh, yeah. Isn't money funny? It's like that. You have to get your own money so that you'll never be embarrassed. Isn't that right, huh? Yeah. Oh, but what about me? you can't leave me behind. I will gnaw at your spirit and your soul until you feed me and bring me back to life. Oh, cool it, artist. Mitchell will use his artistic skills in legal writing. A complaint's like a novella with characters and a plot. You have to make it interesting so the judge will pay attention. And then a brief's like a short story. It's got plot lines and characters and issues, and then you have to create an emotional appeal so that the judge will pick your side. This is where Mitch's artistry and creativity will live, in legal writing. Christmas came, and I flew home and visited with Judy, and we spent a week together, and then I flew back. It's the first weekend that I'm back since my trip, and I called Judy in my usual way on Saturday. Hi, Judy, I love you and I miss you. How's it going? Oh, God, it's awful. My mother is fighting with me about everything. She's fighting about the veil, the dress, the food. Sometimes I think this is going to be more her production than it's going to be my wedding. Well, why don't we elope? We did that, remember? Yeah. Pretty scary, huh? Thank goodness my sister came along with us to keep us sane. And we got married in Elkton, Maryland, the elopement capital of the world. Talk about scary. Me, a nice Jewish girl, I could have been pregnant and not married. Yeah. I know, I'm sorry. It was the first time. I just didn't pull out fast enough. And then you went to the pharmacy and tried to buy a spermicide. They laughed at you. Yeah, but I found the friendship rings that we used to get married in. Yeah, it'll be our secret forever. And it was. We didn't tell anybody for 30 years. Well, that spring was filled with wedding plans and law school and fear and anticipation. I finished my first year of law school. I goofed off and I didn't have great study skills. I ended up in the top 25% of the class, not the top 10%, which get the good jobs. Trouble is, I didn't have the drive or the passion. Yeah, you don't have the passion because you're only here for money. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with going after money? Oh, you can't buy me happiness with money. I flew back to Washington, D.C., and it's less than 2 weeks before the wedding, and I haven't seen Judy since December in the Almost incident. Judy talks to me, oh, Mitch, oh, my stomach has been upset for a week, and I don't know, something seems different about you. But listen, if you don't want to marry me, we've been apart so long, if you don't want to marry me, I'll understand. I still love you, but if you don't want to get married, I'll understand. All right, Judy, if we're going to have a discussion, you have to state the facts. The facts are that I love you and I want to marry you and everything's arranged, the wedding, the honeymoon, and everything. And so if you don't want to get married, I'll understand. Oh, Mitchell, law school has changed you, but let's just keep going. And so, with the certainty of a couple standing on the bridge of the Titanic after it hit the iceberg, we kept moving forward. The wedding was a huge gala, and the honeymoon was wonderful. We spent 3 nights in Carmel overlooking the ocean. Then we flew back, and then we drove back to LA. We started our married life. Oh, Mitch, Judy, no credit cards for a year. But Mitch, what about the clothes I need to buy? Well, you're just starting job as a teacher, and you don't have any money, and we have to wait. You know, neither Judy and I had great skills in conveying our feelings, and at least I had a job to go to, and where I could work and have some success. But Judy was left on her own to navigate a strange new city with no friends and few acquaintances. She went out on job interviews and landed a job with the Lenox School District, a small community near LAX. And she learned to navigate the freeways. She found a grocery store. She found a place to shop. She cooked us meals. I don't know how she spent the rest of her time, but I don't know. I guess I was already starting to shut down my feelings. I was just focused on, I had no compassion. I was just focused on work and getting the job done. Our inability to communicate led to some bloody screaming matches. Oh, Judy, for God's sakes, you have to say something. We can't solve this problem if you don't say something. Oh, Mitchell, I can't think of anything when you're yelling at me. Well, you gotta say something. Well, what were we fighting about? I don't know. Our travails as a young married couple were not much different than most others, and we had some really good times. You know, we went to the beach, we went out to dinner, we discovered each other sexually. We had some nice times, but then I started my second year of law school, and I'm still in the top 25%. I still just a job, not a passion. I get the intellectual side, but I don't get the greater component. That's because your spirit's not in it. Huh. But artist, I gotta get the money. Yeah, come on, you gotta get the money, but you know, you're not gonna be able to do it. Oh, artist, come on. Oh, all right. Artist, leave the kid alone. He's doing the best he can. The debate between artist and money continued through my third year of law school. I still was in the top 25%, but I just didn't allow myself to feel or think anything. I just shoved all the feelings to the back of my throat, put my head down, and I soldiered on. Meanwhile, the Vietnam War was raging. There were riots in the streets. There were the shootings at Kent State, and there was the great grape boycott led by Cesar Chavez seeking fair rights for the migrant farm workers. But most of all, there was the draft. Now, my opposition to the war was intellectual and political, but my opposition to the draft was much more personal. Self-preservation. So I did what every red-blooded American boy did in those days. I hired a draft lawyer. And his name was, I kid you not, Bill Smith. Well, Mr. Feinstein, tell me about yourself. Well, Mr. Smith, I'm married. I'm in starting my last year of law school, and I understand that if I take my student deferment, that I'll be in September and June, I'll be automatically classified 1A and drafted immediately. Yeah, that's right. What do you think about having a kid? They're not drafting fathers. All right. There might be some basis for a medical deferment. Here's the address of the Office of Another Mother for Peace on Pico Boulevard. Go over there, they'll sell you a copy of the medical regulations from the Army for 50 cents. And here's the name of a doctor. He'll examine you. That'll be $40. So that evening I went home to talk to Judy. Judy, we're in a bit of a pickle. If I take my last deferment in September from law school, in June when I graduate, I'll be automatically drafted. So I went to see a draft lawyer, and he said there may be a possibility that I could, there might be a physical deferment that'll keep me out. But he said the best chance of avoiding the draft is for us to have a baby. What do you say? Oh, all right. So school starts, and it's October, and I get a postcard in the mail. I have been reclassified 1A. So I get and read the medical regulations and study them, and then I call the doctor, and he tells me to take aspirin for a week and then come in, and he examines me. Then he gives me a report saying there are 3 grounds for my possible deferment for physical reasons. First of all, gouty diastases. That's a high level of uric acid in the bloodstream, perhaps caused by taking aspirin for a week. Binary splayfoot, that's really bad flat feet. And chronic rhinitis, really bad hay fever. So I go home and write out the petition based on the medical deferment. And meanwhile, Judy's been to the doctor, and she's taking her temperature, timing her cycle, and I'm rushing home to do the deed, getting pregnant, plan B to avoid the draft. But my life being the kind of place that it was, finishing law school, avoiding the draft, and trying to get pregnant aren't enough. I take on 2 new projects, because projects are a replacement for feelings. Yes, I am being shoved aside. Your feelings are being shoved aside. Your spirit is being buried. We're drowning in a sea of getting things done. All right, quiet, artist. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Set a goal, make a plan, and execute one thing at a time. What's wrong with that? Well, you can create art the same way. Yeah, but art won't fill the hole in Mitchell's heart. One of my professors offers to sell me his 1963 Triumph Spitfire with a blown engine for next to nothing. I buy it, tow it over to my friend's driveway who's going to teach me how to rebuild the engine. About the same time, my cousin comes to me and tells me he has an abandoned house in West Hollywood that he will sell me cheap and loan me money to fix it up. I take Judy to see the house. Judy, what do you think? Oh, it's cute, but who's going to do the work? Well, I will with the help of a friend and maybe a contractor. Oh, when are you going to do it? After school. Oh, okay, let's do it. So, in the spring of 1968, the Vietnam War is raging, the draft is accelerating, I'm getting up in the morning, I'm going to law school, I'm registering for classes to study for the bar. In the afternoon, I go and work on the car. In the evening, I go to the house where I'm tearing out walls and plumbing and fixing everything up. Judy, meanwhile, is pregnant. We notify the draft board. She's morning sick. She's getting up and going to school and teaching. She's coming home at night, cooking home-cooked meals and bringing them to me and my friend at the house. Meanwhile, I'm applying for jobs. I'm signing up for interviews. I interview with the Attorney General. My views on the death penalty are far too liberal. I sign up with interviews with the downtown law firms. My views on the economy are too socialist, and my grades aren't good enough. I get no offers. It's my last semester of law school. I'm taking criminal law, which I should have taken in the first year, but couldn't because I was in night school. The teacher is a man named Gary Bellows, who is actually very well known as the originator of the idea of providing legal services for the poor as part of Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty. And he was one of the founders and directors of the California Rural Legal Association, which is the country's first and largest public law firm providing legal services for the poor. At the end of the semester, Gary calls me over to talk to him. Well, Mr. Feinstein, I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed having you in class this year. And you're going to get the highest grade in the class. And are you interested in a job offer? Sure, Mr. Bellows, what kind of job? Well, CRLA is opening a brand new office in McFarland, California. I want to know if you want to go help run it. You mean get into the ground floor of helping the migrant farmers and workers with a fight for a fair deal with the growers? Help Cesar Chavez? Yes. Woo-hoo-hoo! Whoopee! What a great opportunity. Finally something you can be passionate about. A job, something that appeals to your social justice. Oh, wait, hold on, happiness. Oh, what about me? What about going to Beverly Hills and becoming a big-time lawyer? Yeah, I was excited about the job opportunity, but because of the war between artists and money in my mind, I didn't know what to do. In the past, every time I had had a difficult decision to make, I'd gone to Judy and asked her, and she said yes. She'd said yes to marrying me. She said yes to moving to California. She said yes to buying a house and fixing it up. She said yes to getting pregnant. So, after dinner, I brought up the subject. All right, Judy, one of my professors has made an offer for a job for me, and it really appeals to that part of me that is rooted in social justice. And they're asking me to help open an office for the legal services for the poor. Oh yes, what would you be doing? Well, I'd be helping the farm workers in their fight for a fair deal with the growers and helping them with their day-to-day legal problems in McFarland, California. McFarland? Where's that? Near Fresno. Fresno? Isn't that where they're growing the tomatoes and the lettuce? And where all the growers' kids are dying from cancer? That was it. CRLA was hoisted upon its own petard. In its infancy, CRLA had brought a lawsuit against the growers alleging that the pesticides they were using was causing cancer clusters in kids. I had to find a job. So now I'm working on the house. I'm trying to finish law school, and my graduation is coming. And then hello. Oh, hello, Linda, my favorite sister. How are you doing? What? Dad has cancer. For how long? 2 months ago, and nobody told me what the fuck is going on. Where is he? Give me the phone number. Room 2346. Yeah. Hi, Dad, it's me. I called to tell you I love you, and I just heard nobody told me you were even sick. I didn't know anything. So sorry. Oh, you're feeling better. All right, okay. And you're thinking about coming to my graduation. Okay. Dad, I love you. My dad had lung cancer. God bless the tobacco companies and all of that of my father's generation who smoked. So now we're anxiously awaiting for the outcome of my petition for the deferral from the Army for medical reasons, or acknowledgement by the draft board that Judy is pregnant. Then Judy has a miscarriage. We notify the draft board. Now we're praying that my medical deferment will save me from the draft. I push all of my feelings to the back of my throat. I don't let myself feel anything. I just soldier on, putting one foot in front of the other. I'm going to law school and finishing up the house and taking care of Judy. And then my dad says that he and my mom are coming out for my graduation. Now, I had no idea how sick my dad was. The fact that the doctor had ordered him not to travel. And while he was here, a friend of mine in the middle of that week called and asked me to help him move. And I called my father and said, "Oh, you want to spend the day with me? I'll be driving around helping this guy out." And he goes, "Sure." And I pick him up, and he spends the day sitting on the front seat of this hard front seat of a 1961 Volkswagen bus with no shock absorbers, driving all over town. God knows how much pain he was in. He didn't say a word to me. At the end of the day, we pulled up in front of the house. My father turned to me and he said, "Mitchell, I am so proud of you, and I love you. You're the first member of my family to graduate from college, let alone professional school. I am so proud of you, and I love you so much." I turned to my father and I said, "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Sure, anything." "How did you put up with Mom all these years?" "She certainly has grown a lot in the last 5 years, hasn't she?" That was my dad. 2 weeks later, my sister called. He died. I don't allow myself to feel or think anything. As part of the appeals process for the draft, I had requested an in-person interview with the chief doctor of the local draft board in Baltimore. So I now made arrangements to fly back to take care of my father's funeral, be there for the Jewish Shiva week, and then to see the doctor from the draft board. I still haven't felt anything. I'm standing by the graveside. I'm watching the casket as it's slowly being lowered, and just as the top of the casket goes below the level near it, I break down and I fall and I crumble to the ground and cry. My friends pick me up and lead me away. I'm only 22 years old and my father's gone, and I miss him already. I can still see the love in his eyes and his soft, gentle hands that I would stroke when we sat in temple when I was 6 years old. My father is gone, and I miss him, and mostly I miss the opportunity to have talked to him what it was like to lead the life of an artist. I missed the chance to talk to him as an adult. I borrow my mother's car and drive to Pikesville to meet with the doctor who's the head of the draft board. Mr. Feinstein, I have your petition for deferral and reclassification due to medical reasons in front of me. Is there anything you wish to add? No, sir. I believe that all the regulations that are set forth are apt and all the facts stated support the contentions in the regulations, and under the circumstances, the petition for deferral should be granted. What was your father's first name? What? What? Jacob. Why? Oh, I thought so. I had a patient in your father's room, and I was there when he passed away. I drove home, finished up the week of mourning, and then flew back to LA. So here's the situation. The house is fixed up enough to move in. My beautiful wife standing in front of it. Now 1960s. I've taken the bar exam. We have no money. We're living on the overdraft of the checking account. Judy's I'm trying to get a job. I apply with the city attorney, the district attorney, the public defender, no offers. I finally get an offer to become the clerk to the judge in the Superior Court that handles law and motion, pretty far down on the scale. Meanwhile, Judy and I are still trying to get pregnant, plan B to avoid the draft. I'm expecting to get my notice to report any day. It's the middle of October. I go to the mailbox. There's a postcard from the Selective Service. I've been classified 1Y. My petition for deferral is granted. Judy walks in. I'm pregnant! How do you know? My breasts are swollen. So both plans for avoiding the draft came to fruition together. I'm saved from the draft, but I have no job. My uncle calls. He asked me to come meet with he and my cousin Stanley. Mitch, Stanley and I know this lawyer. He's a very good lawyer, but he had a divorce and he hadn't been to work in a while. We want to help him. We want to know if you want to go meet him. Sure, Uncle Ben. So I get in my car and I drive to the west side of town and come up to a brick edifice with a sign on it, Beverly Hills Law Building, and I go in, and the reception area is all walnut and brown leather, and the receptionist leads me to an office in the back, and I knock, and I'm summoned in, and it's a small office with a huge desk that clearly came from a much bigger office. So now Leonard interviews me, and more aptly, I should say I rescued him. Leonard had been a partner with his wife and his two brother-in-laws in a successful firm, but there had been a rancorous divorce, and he'd had some kind of breakdown and stopped coming to work. I was here to get him restarted. My uncle made a deal with Leonard to pay him $1,000 a month retainer to handle all the work for my uncle's mortgage business, provided Leonard hired me for $500 a month. My uncle, in one fell swoop, combined love and affection with money with a business twist. Why did my uncle want to rescue Leonard from depression and me from unemployment? That's the way that codependency works. Sometimes gifts given with love and affection are often, the building blocks of insecurity and self-doubt. Where would you have been if Mitchell hadn't, if Uncle Ben hadn't saved you? And how would you know who you are? Huh? I got sworn in as a lawyer on January 4th, 1969. Leonard handed me a copy of the new Truth in Lending Law. Leonard, under the new law, you have to advise your brokerage clients that beginning July 1st, 1969, before they have the borrower sign any loan documents, they have to give a disclosure statement that tells them the actual interest rate, the finance charges, and the fees. Oh my God, they think they're out of business. What are you talking about? Everybody's going to have to do it. It's the fair thing to do. The borrower should know the true cost of business. Oh, no, you don't understand. Think about the business. If the brokers think about a business, they won't be able to pay us. Think about the money. Oh, yeah, that's right. Think about the money, all right? Yeah. Give up those idealistic ideas of yours of helping other people. Take care of yourself. And if brokers don't make any money, you won't either. Oh, what's the matter with you, Happiness? Oh, it's just sad to see Mitchell give up that part of himself that wants to help other people. Mitchell, will you be as happy helping the rich get rich as you would have been helping the poor who are the subject of this claim? Oh, quiet, Happiness. You can't buy bread with happiness, or more importantly, a house or a car, the things that Judy wants to, that Mitchell wants to get for Judy, can you? Short-term gain equals long-term loss. Mitchell, don't surrender to money. It will lead you down a path of personal destruction. Come on. Mitchell will love all the things he can buy. A house, a car, a little bit of ganja, the nice things that Judy wants. Yeah, all the things he buys will try and fill the hole in his heart. So, in June of 1969, Leonard and I are the principal speakers at a convention of 100 mortgage brokers assembled at the new Century City Convention Center. Leonard starts off with a general introduction, and then he's going to introduce me to explain how the brokers can survive. Oh, yeah. Look at that, Mitchell. It's an audience of 100 people. Yeah. It looks like a theater. You could practice your acting chops. Oh, yeah. This looks like it's going to be fun. All right. Effective July 1st, 1969, the new law requires that before the borrower sign any disclosure statement, you have to give them, sign any loan documents, you have to give them a disclosure statement that sets forth the true interest rate, the true cost of credit, and all the charges. And if it's secured by their house, they have to get 3 days right to cancel the loan. Oh no. If we tell them what the loan costs, they'll never sign. We're out of business. Well, not if you charge them a fair price. Yeah, but we always charge the same. Now what? You'll have to compete. Everybody's got to do the same thing. You don't know what you're talking about. This is it. We're out of business. Hold on. It's the law. If we all follow the law, we can survive. Of course they're going to sign. They need the money. That's right. All the borrowers care about is how much money they're going to get, when they're going to get it, what the payment is. This isn't going to change anything. All right, Mitchell, you did it. You changed the question so that everybody could win, and now you're going to win too. Good job. Oh, but now you're on the side of the devil. Oh, I'm not the devil. I'm just a medium of exchange. And what better way to show your mother that you're a man than to kill the bear and bring home the money? So, for the next couple of years, I did what was necessary to become a millionaire lawyer in Beverly Hills. And the first thing I did, and perhaps the most important thing, was I bought some new suits and ties. And then I began to study the law and watch what my boss was doing. Now, Leonard started coming to the office. He was resurrected. And our little firm was growing. And by 1972, we'd added another lawyer, another young lawyer. But Leonard was paying more attention to this young lawyer than he was to me, perhaps because he was the son of his new wife's best friend. Anyway, Christmas 1972, Leonard calls me into his office. Hey, Mitch, take a look at this Texas Instrument calculator. It carries multiple balances and does square roots, and it only costs $800. Yeah, $800. Just the raise I asked for, Leonard. You didn't give me a raise. You gave the other kid a raise. Well, I felt disrespected and angry, and I met with a friend of mine from law school, and we decided to open our own firm with another older lawyer. Now, I had a few mortgage broker clients that would come with me, but I needed to draw $1,000 a month to pay the expense of the house and the cars and the kids and everything. So I decided to go to see my Uncle Ben to see if he could help. Uncle Ben, I'm going to start a new law firm with a buddy of mine from law school and another older lawyer, and we're just wondering if we start out, is there any business you can send our way? Mitch, how much was Leonard paying you? $1,000 a month. All right, here's the deal. I'll give you a retainer, your new firm a retainer of $1,000 a month, provided they let you draw $1,000 a month. Oh, thanks, Uncle Ben. Oh, you codependent your way again. You let Uncle Ben throw you another life raft. But what can you do? It's in your nature. Oh yeah. Addicts don't care about consequences. They'll do whatever is necessary to get their drug, right, Money? Oh yeah, well, Mitchell and Judy are doing okay. They live in West Hollywood, a half a block from Beverly Hills. And despite how he started, he's becoming a good lawyer. He's getting known as an expert, and the money's coming in. Oh, what do you want? Happiness? Oh, well, what about happiness? Life becomes drudgery. Mitchell keeps his desk piled with files because he's afraid he's going to run out of business. And the money's good, but not great. Oh, come on. On the surface, everything seems to be okay. Addiction seems to be taken care of. Oh, addiction. Who are you kidding? Mitchell was smoking dope every day. He's smoking on the way to the office. He's smoking on the way home. He's smoking over the weekends. He's the soul in search of himself. Despite all that, for the next 10 years, I seemed to prosper. I became known as a renowned expert in mortgage banking. I was named to numerous government and federal commissions. I was chief counsel to several trade associations, state and national. I tried and won complicated cases. I felt like a phony. I had business cards printed that said, Mitch, I'm a winner Feinstein. Sort of convincing myself, you know. Anyway, there was more money rolling into the firm that seemed to be coming to me. And I went to my partner to talk about it. And he gave me some bullshit about his being a better investor than I was. I was angry and I felt disrespected, and I went to see my cousin Stanley. Stan, I'm going to start a new law firm with Steve, the Deputy Commissioner of Corporations, who I met on that state commission I was on. And I know you built a new building, and I'm wondering if you got an office that Steve and I can rent. Mitch, this box contains checks payable to you totaling $15,000 for work that you did for me. And there's another $1,500 a month coming in. And I have an office for you on the 4th floor. It's all set up with phones, desks, and everything. And the 3rd floor is vacant. And why don't you become a master tenant and lease it out to lawyers? And why don't we start a mortgage business together? Wow, Stanley, what do I have to lose? Well, again, for the next 10 or 15 years, things seemed to go really well. I started not 1 but 2 mortgage companies. I designed, wrote, and implemented sophisticated software that managed the mortgage companies and the investors. I became the master tenant of a law suite with a dozen lawyers. I added lawyers to my law firm. I tried and won complicated cases. I took my family to Hawaii every Christmas. We took several really nice trips to Europe. On the surface, it looked okay. But my kids were barely talking to me. My wife and I almost got divorced. Oh, Mitchell, what's wrong? You got more money than you ever thought you would have. You have a nice car, nice clothes, nice place to live. What's the matter? Mitchell always feels there's not enough. He thinks others have more than him, that others are more responsible for his own success than he is. Stanley called me into his office. Had some news. Mitch, I'm hiring my nephew to come run the Maine mortgage company. When his mother died young, I promised to take care of him. And that's what I want. But Stanley, that's not fair. That's not what we agreed to. When I set up all the mortgage companies and I did all the software and everything, you led me to believe that I was going to get to run the mortgage company. Oh, Mitch, don't worry about it. Just help my nephew and you'll end up with serious net worth. Well, things went along. And then Stanley dropped the bombshell. Mitch, I've decided to sell the family business to my nephew and his stepbrother. It's what my father would have wanted. But Stanley, that's going to kill me. You know that I cycle a bunch of my business through you, and if they buy you out, they'll no longer do it. I'm going to lose a whole lot of money. Sorry, Mitch. You're going to have to talk to your cousins. So I arranged a meeting with the cousins, and I made a presentation. Look, guys, I know what you and Stanley are planning, and I know you don't want to hurt me. I'm your cousin. So I got a win-win for all of us. We'll merge the two companies, we'll cut overhead, and we'll both make more money. Yeah, but who'll be in charge? Well, you can be president. I'll just be chairman of the board. You guys can buy me out in 10 years. Well, things went along for a little while. All right, and then my cousin came to me, the nephew, and he said that he was moving out of the building. He was having a fight with Stanley and didn't want to have anything to do with him or me, and that I wasn't coming with him, and that they were going to buy me out. Oh, how did you allow yourself to get into such a position where you could be bought out? Oh, yeah, I remember you played the codependency game with Stanley. All right, but wait a minute, it's not so bad. Mitchell's going to get money. He's still going to get the big buyout, huh? Oh, what could possibly go wrong? Mitchell's even going to get to go to acting school. I'll tell you what can go wrong. Everything. All of Mitchell's decisions are based on, are crippled because of his addiction and codependency. All of his decisions are built on sand. Let us watch as they come down like an avalanche. Stanley, look, you gotta help me. The guys are forcing me out. Mitch, there's nothing I can do. Take the buyout. And so I did. I stayed in the codependency loop with Stanley. I didn't understand. I wasn't well educated enough to understand that what I should have done is liquidated everything, get whatever money I could, and started out on my own. Instead, I stayed in. Of course, a few years later, the economy crashed and my former partners couldn't pay me. But I had tied up sufficient assets in there to pay me in full. But I let Stanley take money off the top for his company. So we're at the final closing at the lawyer's office. Mitch, yeah, I'm taking money off the top to pay me, but it's okay. You're going to get a note from the company and you'll get paid. I always took care of you. You know you can trust me. Of course, I never got paid. I felt like a worthless idiot. I looked at all the decisions I had made. And moving to California, becoming a lawyer, making $1 million hadn't made my mother love me and hadn't made me happy. I hadn't been true to who and what I was. Oh yes, how does one measure happiness? It certainly isn't with money. And so you played the codependency game, and now what? You can't get over looking at what you would have had instead of what you do have. Loser. You're still addicted to filling the hole. You can't even meditate and tell yourself you feel okay. Why don't you dump the junk and get on with your life? And so now it comes down to this. Can you, through the pursuit of your true artist, find your true self and true happiness? Can you finally accept that what you have is enough? Can you accept that God does not make junk? Can you finally free yourself from your mother's curse of selfishness and abandonment? Looking back on that phone call on March 20, 2020, I had a moment of clarity. I looked at the decisions that I had made, the fact that I was depressed most of the time, that I couldn't allow myself to feel happy or allow myself to have anything. Oh, artist, can you help me? Oh, I see. You're on the other side of the journey tonight. You have crossed the burning coals of memory. You have unleashed the dogs of anger and resentment. You have stood there naked telling your story.
You can slay addiction and codependency. You can unleash the artist in you and let happiness in.
Oh, come, codependency.
Yeah.
Ooh. You have had the key to unlocking my grip on you. You are no longer tied to anyone. You are willing to risk the fate of acting alone.
I can now make art on my own.
You have slain me.
Yeah.
That's right, codependency. I can make art on my own. I no longer need anyone to help me. All right, come on, addiction. You're next.
Your self-confidence outpaces my insecurity. Done.
I have filled the hole of self and doubt and worthlessness with addiction. I no longer feel worthless and alone. My art is my soul. All right, come on, money. You're next.
The problem was never with me. I'm the neutral object. It's how you react to me, how you treat me, that makes the difference. You chose to chase me. You chose to find security in me. You chose to equate me with love.
Okay, money. I will not fear mistake or loss. What I have is enough, no matter what it is. But money, the past has influenced how I treat you.
Yes, but how you react is a choice that you make day to day. Do you know why they call the past the past?
No, why?
Because it's past.
Okay, happiness, come on in and tell me how to keep you in my sphere forever.
Oh, just grab on and hold on tight. If you don't, addiction and codependency, your fear of being unworthy will fade over time, and you will experience happiness.
All right, happiness, I got it. Okay. Reliving that phone call on March 20, 2020. Hello? Oh, okay, I see. But I'll get all the principal back. Okay, that's all right. I'll have to make some adjustments. It'll be okay. Judy, I got some news. You know, we're going to be okay. We might have to make some adjustments, but we'll be all right. You know what? I got an idea. Maybe I should write a play about gratitude. As soon as I can.